Hey, Scott Jordan and Mark Warner here for Jancast number 179, Thursday, November 7th, 2024. And we're not going to talk about what just happened this week, but let's get down to bits. Like, what's going on, Scott? What are you doing in a t-shirt? Well, I'm on vacation. That's right. And I got good internet, so we figured why not get a show in the can because next week, we do the show every 2 weeks. So this show will be repeating next week. Then the following week, we're in Las Vegas. Woohoo! Right, Mark?
Ooh, 3853, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. So, we've been exhibiting at the ISSA show for over 70 years. Did you know that,
You
Mark?
don't you don't look that old, Scott.
True. I guess, yeah, at the very beginning, it was my dad and the table at the Waldorf Astoria or whatever that story is about the Chicago show, right?
I remember him telling that story of how there were like 20 exhibitors. They all
Yeah.
had like folding tables.
Yeah.
Like wow.
It was in a basement, I remember, if I remember the story right. It was Chicago, right? Wasn't it? I think. Yeah.
I don't remember that part of it, but I do
Yeah.
remember your dad talking about it. It was just kind of the Rat Pack of the early days of
Yeah.
ISSA,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
wasn't
So,
Lou Gorlin involved back then?
oh yeah. Yeah. So
And
I
he
guess
later became president and had awards named after him and all that kind of stuff. But
I got one of those. Yeah, that's right. He gave Bullen a prompt payment award that I don't know why, but I have it in my office at back at in Fallcroft there.
a prompt
It was
payment.
something like the best supplier and it was an unusual award that Lou gave to my dad. Great guy. So I guess we're the Rat Pack now,
Ouch. Yeah, probably true.
huh? Ouch. I like that. So we're going back to the show. We weren't there last year because we weren't exactly sure what the return on investment's going to be. So we'll see how it goes. I've heard some things about that race that they're having. Apparently the ticket prices are coming down, so I'm not sure how much longer it's going to be around. But it's there the same week we're there again. So I guess we'll find out. We didn't get to experience it last time, but
Well, I heard that they're still working on the custom graphics on your screen printed helmet
yeah, yeah, yeah.
for the car.
Yes, you do have to stop by. I don't want to get sued, but by the G1 race or whatever, anything other than that other letter. But yeah, we're pretty excited about being at the show. Nice thing about the show, I guess, and we'll find out, is we don't even have to leave the property, right? I mean, we show up at the hotel, Mandalay Hotel, and the show's there. And if we don't want to leave the property, we don't even have to leave the property.
Well, there's a boatload of restaurants there
Yeah,
and a lot of acreage. So the people that attended last year, and I didn't, but they said it was a really expansive property. So you didn't feel like you were locked into like a Holiday Inn Express,
yeah,
like
yeah,
you got just a lobby to work with, but
yeah.
it felt expansive.
Yep. So we'll be doing a setup video, which we've done in the past, where we actually show the booth being built, and then we'll do the first day of the show video, and the second day of the show, and then that third day, what do we call that show? It's
Uh,
the last day is the
some
last day, right?
tear, break, up, down.
Yeah, yeah. So for those Jancast listeners out there, Mark and I were discussing before we started the recording, wouldn't it be great if we could get the Jancast listeners to come by the booth? And we're not going to try to create some organized group meeting because it's kind of late for that. But if you can come by, if you're a Jancast listener, come by the booth and we'd like to talk to you about what you like about the show, what you think we could do different in the future, anything that kind of help. And, we're always confused about the audience. We have all these people telling us they love the show, you see it. And then we look at our YouTube stats and it's like, oh, there's something wrong there. It doesn't make any sense. All these people love us. But so the stats are wrong, right? We've
We're
decided.
convinced the stats
Yeah,
are
the
wrong.
stats are wrong, just based on the hundreds of people that reach out and say how much they love the
Thousands,
show. Yeah,
thousands.
so those listeners that want to stop by the booth, there's going to be roughly 15,000 people at the show, 12 to 15,000 people. We just need about 6 or 7,000 people to come by the booth and
That's
talk
that.
about it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
That's
all we're
right. And
looking for is 7,000 Jancast listeners. Just stop by to legitimize the fact that we have that many people.
and this also plays for the VIP guests that
Yes.
we've had over the
Yep.
different shows.
Yep.
So Many of them I know are going to be in Vegas anyway. So
Yeah.
we'll try to make sure we capture them, and then we might even be able to get some testimonials, Scott.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Like
There you go. So we got
I,
a whole
I
bunch
I
of,
could give one to you. You could give one back to me. We could start it off with two in the can.
yeah. So we got a whole bunch of new products we're rolling out at the show. Maybe some people have seen them. We've got this one product that we haven't really revealed the name of it yet. We've got there's a podcast out there with two people discussing this new fantastic product. I'm on vacation in my RV, which you can't tell because it looks like I'm in my office, but I'm using this new product 3 times a day. It's unbelievable, fantastic. And when you're in an RV, you got to be concerned about your water usage because, in this case, I'm not connected to sewer. So you got to keep track of that. So I've been able to reduce my water uses uh, a lot with this brand new product. Should we say what the name of the product is yet, Mark? What do you think?
Um, so for those, yes, I think our Jancast listeners have earned the right to
The,
get
the
a
first tip off.
preview of what the rest of the world won't find out
Yeah,
until they get to the show. So for being a loyal Jancast listener, you get the inside track, I would say. So,
yeah.
Scott,
So
I think it'd be your
we've
duty.
We've been working on this product for months. We've been teasing it out. Those of you that watch or listen to the Sunday Sales Blast, we've been teasing it out there. We get these two people talking on a podcast. We're going to put a link to it in the show notes. But we're talking about Frothy. That's right, Frothy. And it's a cookery cleaner, thanks to Mark's suggestion. That great addition to the name because I hadn't even thought of that, but it's fantastic. Frothy cookery cleaner. And what it is, it's a foam activated product that has all kinds of special stuff in it, which that's your cue there, Mark. Talk about the
Well,
special stuff
uh,
in there.
that's what's kind of amazing about it is,
Yeah.
all right, so I'll tell you, start off with my story. Like I cooked a big batch of spaghetti and the whole starchy residue that kind of gets on the colander when you're draining the spaghetti. It's like it's called a pita to clean it. That's an acronym. We'll leave that to the listener's imagination. But normally it's a sponge, a scrubbing pad, and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, well, this would be the tests. So I nailed it with Frothy and the lipase and the added punch that's built into the other detergents that are in there were astounding.
Yeah.
Literally astounding, Scott. Because it's kind of been my famous thing is making, dad spaghetti. Like,
Which
it was,
includes the mess in the kitchen.
and holy smokes, it was amazingly easy to do. I was amazed by that. The saucepan, on rare occasion, I'll burn a little bit of the sauce because I didn't stir it recently enough or whatever, and that's tough to get off, and
Yeah.
it broke all that down, really rather stunning. So out of all that, I can say that I've played around with some competitive products. Nothing even comes close to the power and punch.
Yep.
So I'm really, really impressed with that, and the fact that it comes out in such a thick foam, it just clings. Like
Yeah.
normally you'd spray something, it would just run off and dry out.
Yep.
That was part of the idea behind it. It's never been anything this powerful to be used in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
very,
part
very
of it,
excited.
our chemist was telling us it's about the lipase enzyme.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of that is we're talking about a bio-based product there. And for those of you listeners that caught Jancast number 178, Healthy Buildings, Healthy People with Dr. Gavin McGregor Skinner, part of that was about healthy buildings, healthy
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
And so you and I were kind of kicking that around and there's a lot of pieces of that puzzle, not just how it's built, but what products are being used, right? And what processes are being used because without both, it's a marriage. You have to have
Yeah.
both for anything to work. We've talked about that with disinfection all the time. You could have the world's best disinfectant, but if you don't know how to use it, you aren't doing anything,
Yeah.
So the whole product side of it is fascinating from a healthy building, healthy people standpoint because there's a huge emphasis on bio-based and botanical-based products. And
Yep.
we introduced Protecto Shine, which is a botanical-based stainless steel cleaner and furniture polish.
Yep.
Very unique in the way it works. Works fantastic. It's one of Jackie's favorites. We have a Citro RX, which uses citric acid as the active killing agent, as a disinfectant, which is literally a residue-free biocide. I
Yeah.
mean, wow, that's
Yep.
stunning. The frothy we brought up that uses lipase, which is an enzyme. And speaking of enzymes, Airx has got an entire family of enzymatic products,
Yep.
with the most famous being Airx 66 bioenzymatic cleaners. So I thought, like, realistically, that's kind of cool to talk about as a segue from our last show. Beyond enzymes, everybody's trying to move away from some of the oil-derived solvents.
Mm-hmm.
So we have we have seen this massive growth in organic solvents
Yep.
like D-limonene and L-limonene. L-limonene are a derivative of they smell like kind of like pine.
Yeah.
Whereas D-limonene smells like oranges. That's what most of us are familiar with. But they're all part of that whole terpene family. And it does what solvents of old used to do. I mean, I remember, like, I've been around, so have you, like, long enough to remember things like acetone and toluene and methylene
Yep.
chloride and 111 trichlor. And, that's what a lot of cleaning agents used to have in it. And literally, people would take toxic chemicals into a building to make it look clean.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in the process, completely perhaps contaminate the indoor airspace. So the whole movement of the industry and Bullen's movement also towards some of these products that are bio-based and botanical based is really cool. Like it's really cool. It's a cool industry to be involved with if you
Yeah.
like that stuff. And then like even you and I were chatting a little bit about things that have been around forever, like coconut oil hand soap. Coconut oil was sodium coca sulfate. Did you know that? That's a technical word for it. But, that's been used as a hand soap and a shampoo for hair for
Yep.
like 267 or so years. I don't know how long. I haven't had hair for that
It's
long. I
it's
don't
part
know.
of the original soap. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that was kind of, you know, or it was safe and non-toxic and all that kind of stuff. And then, but not strong enough to be a degreaser. That's where all
Right.
these other things came into play years ago. And now we've covered that and we're using things that are safer. But again, going back to the message that like it's all great if you got the great stuff, but if you don't know how to use it, you're SOL. That's another acronym they use in the military, Scott. Just saying. But the key to knowing how to use it is getting some training. And there's live training, there's virtual training,
Yep.
classes that are available through the ISSA,
Yeah. You do
IICRC,
a
and
lot of
others.
that. Yep.
Yep. And then Ken Bodie is driving a brand new program that's all about AR, VR training with the use of like iPads and stuff that you know all about because you're the
All the
techie
all,
guy.
all the lidar stuff. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I had no
Yeah.
idea you could get like an iPad or an iPhone with LiDAR on it. Like,
Yeah.
what?
That's part of that ties in with their Vision Pro thing and all that, that if you need LiDAR to be able to create content as well as sometimes look at it too. So yeah, it's
What's
pretty
what's
cool.
fascinating about that platform for training is apparently it's leading to the point. Remember the fiction movies of the combat soldiers, and they'd have like special goggles,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they'd look around. It would say hostile, not hostile. It's a kid, whatever. So I picture in my mind's eye like that's ultimately where this can become. You start looking around a room, going, needs cleaning, dust, boom. And then apparently you have the ability then to say, well, I don't know what to use, and you shake your head or you nod or you push a button or I don't know how that works, but then it pops up the instructions and SDS, what do you need to wear for PPE, all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of the future, and it's really cool
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
cleaning industry is engaged with that part of future technology. It
Yeah.
fascinates me,
Well,
obviously.
we need it because training. We've been talking about training for years and years and years, particularly around the whole pandemic thing that people didn't know what they were doing. So the training really was important then because people were dying because they weren't doing things right. Now training is good. Now that the economy's coming back a little bit, training is even more important because they got to hire all these people fill these jobs that are now fortunately coming back. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting that we've been focused on this whole science and healthy. Uh, Jancast that we did, it's almost like we had planned it out that we're going to introduce all these new products that tie in perfectly with what we just talked about on the last show. Purely coincidental, right?
It's called synchronicity, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so you got to stop by the booth and learn more about the frothy the Jancast listeners now know about, and all the other stuff. So what are we missing? We got come by the
Well,
booth,
the
all
the
that.
segue from all that was kind of the how far this is really going. Like one of the questions that I've been getting a lot has to do with service providers trying to explore
Mhm.
the software that's being used to help drive service providers. And it's got my attention because we've been going down that same path with looking at enhancements to software. Because nowadays, everything you do has to be not only effective, but highly efficient
Yeah,
because it's so competitive, right? So everything that you do is designed to increase effectiveness and efficiency. So we're even looking at software from a manufacturer standpoint,
yeah,
and service providers are looking at software from a service from providing services, the most efficient way and monitoring soil loads and supply levels and all that kind of stuff. So, I thought that was kind of a segue to what we were
yeah,
talking about with technology with training. So,
yeah.
but anyway, the ISSA show is going to have like these live educational and training seminars going on that'll hit on every topic that we just hit on. But none of them will be as impactful as the Jancast listener roundup.
Stop by 3853, and you'll get a special gift. If you
Yes.
identify yourself as a Jancast listener, you will get a special gift.
There you go.
There you go. That's
Have
it.
we
How about
figured
that
that
for
gift out yet? Or is it gonna require a bottle opener? I'm just curious.
no, no, we did that. Actually, I'm in my RV, and those of you that been around with Bullen for a while. You remember when I was crazy enough to drive this RV all the way to Las Vegas, and then we had it in the outside exhibit area, and we actually had beer out there. We bought the $22 a bottle Heineken that we weren't allowed to bring our own beer in. And I remember our good friend Jack, who's no longer with Bullen, figured he should crack a beer at 10:30 because people weren't drinking enough of them. So but yeah, same RV all the way cross country, other than my wheel bearing almost failing somewhere out in the middle of Arizona or something. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm glad I didn't drive the RV to the show this year because kind of would have screwed up my schedule.
So there's another beer story, Scott, that's where I thought you might be going. The beer story that gave us 10,000 views on
Oh, the
Jancast.
Corona. Yeah, you
Yeah.
remember that back in the beginning of the pandemic that they were blaming Corona beer for the whole thing. I forgot all about that. Man, that was what crazy times with that, huh?
Right,
People
right.
washing their vegetables and worrying about drinking Corona beer. Man, we've come a long way.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have.
Well, thank you very much for joining me, Mark, on my vacation day here and getting this Jancast in the can. And those of you that are listeners, come by the booth. If you're not in Las Vegas, then you can reach out to us. Maybe we still want to hear from all the Jancast listeners either way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We
Okay.
appreciate you.
Yeah, you got it. Okay. Well, thanks very much for everybody that's tuned in, and we will see you next in Las Vegas.
All right.
See you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye bye.